I've got 10 a.m.
You're good.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kimberly Kiplin. I am the temporary presiding officer of the Lottery Advisory Committee. I'm calling the meeting to order. The time is 10 a.m. At this time, if you all will mute your microphones and only turn them on when you speak. When you speak, please announce your name so your name can be recorded. And please keep your camera on at all times during the meeting to verify quorum for members of the Lottery Advisory Committee. I'm going to ask Ms. Lopez Spark to call the roll, and she will announce if we have a quorum. When she goes around and calls the roll, for each committee member, if you would introduce yourself and say a few words about you, that would be very helpful. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Lopez Sparks.
Yes, ma'am. Deanna Lonson Newcomb.
Good morning, everyone. I am a retired Chief Compliance and Ethics Officer, Head of Internal Audit, previously for a Fortune 500 company. I'm currently a professor of practice at Texas A&M and have been doing that for 8 years. I reside on a ranch in Central Texas, and I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you. David Pate.
Good morning. I currently serve as the Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Support Services for the Richardson Independent School District. I've been here 9 years. I've spent 28 years in public education in the finance department, and 10 years prior to that auditing school districts, other state and local governments for Deloitte. And I reside in Rowlett, Texas.
Thank you. Irv Leos.
Good morning, everybody. The name Irv Leos Jr. Yeah, I'm a retired veteran, 20 years plus in the Army. Currently work for the Texas Veterans Commission. I'm the director of the Grants Department.
Thank you. Bobby Warren.
Good morning, everyone. Bobby Warren here. I'm part of the executive leadership team with Fuel City, based here in the DFW area. I also currently serve as the chairman of the board of directors for the Texas Food and Fuel Association. Glad to be here. Look forward to contributing where I can.
Thank you. And Kim Kiplin, temporary presiding officer.
Good morning, everybody. Once again, my name is Kimberly Kiplin. I am an attorney, licensed attorney in the state of Texas and located in Austin, Texas. By way of background, I was the general counsel of the Lottery Commission, beginning with the inception of the agency, not the lottery, but the agency in 1993, and I retired in 2012. What did I say? 2020. And I look forward to be able to serve in an advisory capacity and assist the agency in however we are able to serve.
And Ms. Kiplin, we do have a quorum for today.
Thank you. I'm going to move on then and turn it over to agenda item C, and that is a welcome and committee overview. And I'd ask the executive director, Courtney Arbor, to say a few words.
Thank you, Kim. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural meeting of the Lottery Advisory Committee. I want to begin by thanking each of our committee members for your willingness to serve. First off, we appreciate the time and expertise you're bringing to this work. I would also like to thank members of the public who are joining, agency staff, and anyone joining us online. We appreciate you taking time and attention to our meeting today. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize the commissioners who are with us today. Thank you, commissioners, for your leadership and support in establishing this committee. Chairman, I believe you are the only one of our 7 commissioners online at the time, so I'd love to hand it off to you, please. We'd like the group to hear from you some opening remarks.
Thanks, Courtney. All right, so pretty exciting. New meeting, new faces. I am excited for you guys. I'm also scared for you guys. So I'm scared in the sense that we're going to go in new territory, and it's exciting. That's what makes it exciting. The sense that this is a whole new idea. I want you guys to take this initiative, right? Let's rethink the whole thing. Let's figure this out. How can we deliver everything better? There's a lot of noise about the lottery. And that's important to recognize, but that noise isn't germane to you. What's germane to you is what we can see, and right now for TDLR 3.0 is our goal, and you guys are part of that team, and we're excited about what that envision is. We even noted for, I've been on the chair for 8 years. I've been on the committee for 10. I'm still looking for my first paycheck. I haven't found it yet, so I'm going to find it. So yeah, I'm sure y'all get yours too. But the idea is simply this, right? It is a labor of love. Kim, thank you for taking over and standing as chair. Appreciate that. I want that labor of love to mean something, and so whatever I can do as a commissioner, as a chairman, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Happy to lean into it with whatever it needs. I know Courtney is available. She is a rock star. She's done an amazing job. She's assembled some of the best team that she could assemble to help support you guys. And I want you guys to take full advantage of that. There's a lot of responsibility for what you've been given. And I understand that. I get it. And the responsibility is not taken lightly, but it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity. We have a system bid out that's we're working through, and I will caution you, we'll go through those. I'm sure the staff go through that. But also, again, just trying to figure out how to build the lottery better to serve the state of Texas. What does that look like as a whole? Dream and all the things that are come with that. Because I think when you see something that is in the middle of a struggle, I think it can give rebirth to something stronger, and that's what I'm hoping for. I just want to make a couple other points, which is one, I'm always available. So feel free to reach out to me. Personally, happy to get my cell phone. If you have any questions, I'm probably the least qualified to answer them. The staff will probably be better, but if you just want to call and just throw something by me, you're welcome to do that. Number two, love to have you guys in the commission meeting. You're welcome to see the bigger part of the picture that you're part of. There's a lot. It's a lot going on, and it'll probably get bigger. The state legislature has entrusted us with a lot for a reason, because we do well. But that responsibility comes with a lot of energy and time that we have to pour into this. And so be prepared for that. And the last thing is that this is a blessing. I'm a man of faith, and I believe that servitude is part of who we are. It's our DNA. And so that labor of love is something that I think will help guide you in the decisions and the advice that you give our commission. We are in no ways experts in this. And as you guys bring your expertise from all the various backgrounds, we're going to lean heavily on that. We have a lot of programs that we look at. And so we're going to lean heavily on what the advice that you give us and the insight that you give us. And so whatever that looks like, let's follow it and let's see where it goes. But it is a blessing, and it's a blessing to be able to serve the state and the people of the state. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time and energy. And I'm always available. I'm going to step off unless you guys have questions for me, or if there's anything I need to address. Kim or Courtney, is there anything I need to address?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate your time in joining this meeting and your comments. And I know I, for one, will take that to heart. And I know that with Courtney at the helm as the executive director, we're going to be guided in the most appropriate way for Texas and for the lottery.
Excellent. Well, Kim, thank you. There's a mandate. You have to laugh at my jokes. That is a requirement as being a part of this committee. Courtney has failed to do that a couple of times. I'm going to have to represent her, but I'm a funny guy, and laughter is part of the job. So we can't laugh at ourselves in a situation. We just, why bother? So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Courtney, you good?
I am. Thank you. Thank you, Kim, for the remarks. Thank you, Chairman. I do have a few other remarks before I turn it back over to staff for the agenda, but committee members, you hear it first from our chair, the heart that he has for the agency, the seriousness of the program, wanting to make sure we do it well. We will listen to your input, and you're hearing it from him first. You'll hear that same sentiment from the staff here, and just an ongoing appreciation for you participating. Let me add a few remarks about what we'll be doing today, and then I'll turn it over. Today's largely about laying the foundation for the committee's work. We'll review the committee's purpose, provide the required training for conducting public business. We'll hear an update on the lottery program and consider the committee's first rulemaking item. We're going to have you dive right in. This committee was created by the legislature as part of the transfer of the Texas Lottery to TDLR last legislative session. Its purpose is to bring together a broad range of perspectives and expertise to help advise the commission and the department on issues affecting the lottery program. That diversity of experience and viewpoints is one of the committee's greatest strengths. Your role is to ask questions, provide feedback, identify issues that we need to discuss, and offer recommendations. Your work will help to inform the commission before decisions are made, but final policy and rulemaking authority remains with the Texas Commission of Licensing and Regulation, and that is Chairman Figueroa and 6 other commissioners. The committee consists of 9 members representing the public and a variety of stakeholder perspectives established in law. Members are appointed by the commission and serve staggered terms, and the committee conducts its business in public meetings under the Texas Open Government Laws, which is why we'll be providing you some training shortly. Committee members serve without compensation or reimbursement, similar to Chairman Figueroa. As this committee begins its work, there will be topics that would benefit from more focused discussion in between the full committee meetings. So we'll have work groups that the presiding officer can designate when appropriate, so that you all can meet in smaller groups to gather information and develop recommendations. Any recommendations always come back to the full committee for discussion, and any action will be taken at a publicly posted meeting. You'll also have a great deal of support from TDLR staff, and I will say that Chairman gave me kudos, but I will tell you that you have just such an impressive staff at this agency who will be working alongside you, and you'll see that in every conversation you have with them. Our advisory board team, Office of General Counsel, and other divisions are here to help. Staff will assist with meeting logistics, agenda, public comment procedures, meeting materials, rulemaking documents, program presentations, and any follow-up items. Finally, again and again, thank you for agreeing to serve. Public service, we know, is a commitment. We appreciate your willingness to lend your time and expertise to this committee, and we look forward to working with you as we continue building a lottery program that serves Texans with integrity, transparency, and accountability. Our next agenda item, Kim, I believe, is open government training. And that will provide the foundation for how you conduct the business of this committee under current law. And Kim, I'll hand it back to you for anything else.
Thank you, Courtney. We're going to go to item D. It's open government training, and I understand that Assistant General Counsel Derek Burkhalter will make the presentation on the 3 bodies of law. Thank you, Derek.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, and I'm sharing my screen for the slides. My name is Derek Burkhalter, and I'm an Assistant General Counsel for TDLR. During this portion of the meeting, I will provide the committee's open government training. Because this is the committee's first meeting, the goal is to give you a practical foundation for conducting the committee's work openly, lawfully, and transparently. We will cover 3 major Texas open government laws. First is the Open Meetings Act, which governs how this committee conducts its meetings and discussions. Second is the Administrative Procedure Act, which governs the state agency rulemaking and rule review processes. Third is the Public Information Act, which governs public access to government records. I will focus on the provisions that are most likely to affect you in your role as committee members. We will begin with the Open Meetings Act. This is the law that most directly affects how committee members communicate with one another, how meetings are posted and conducted, and how the public is allowed to observe and participate. The basic purpose of the Open Meetings Act is straightforward. The public's business should be conducted in public. The act generally requires governmental bodies to meet openly and to give advance notice of when and where they will meet and what subjects they will discuss. Courts interpret these requirements broadly in favor of openness. So when there is uncertainty, the safer approach is usually the more transparent one. The first key concept is a quorum. A quorum is a majority of members and is necessary for the committee to act as a governmental body. Because this committee has 9 members, 5 members constitute a quorum. Official committee action requires a quorum. A smaller group may sometimes meet as a properly designated work group, but it cannot act for the full committee. Members must also avoid using a series of smaller discussions to accomplish indirectly what the full committee could do only in an open meeting. The next concept is deliberation. In ordinary terms, that means an exchange, spoken or written, about committee business. It can occur among committee members or between committee members and another person. The important point is that the law is concerned with the substance of the communication, not merely its label. Calling something an informal conversation does not keep it outside the act if a quorum is discussing committee business. A meeting occurs when a quorum deliberates about public business within the committee's jurisdiction or when the committee takes formal action. A meeting does not have to occur in a hearing room. The same concern can arise through a conference call, video conference, email chain, group text, or another form of communication. The practical rule is that committee deliberation involving a quorum belongs in a properly posted meeting, public meeting. Before a meeting, the public must receive advance written notice of the date, time, location, and subjects to be considered. For this committee, that notice is the posted agenda. TDLR files the notice and the agenda with the Secretary of State and posts it online at least 7 days before the meeting. The agenda also limits the discussion. The committee should discuss only subjects that are reasonably described in the posted notice. The question here is whether committee members may attend the same social function, convention, training, or workshop without violating the Open Meetings Act. The answer is yes. Members may attend the same event and may engage in conversation that is incidental to the event. The issue arises if a quorum begins discussing committee business, making decisions, or taking action on matters within the committee's jurisdiction. At that point, the discussion may become subject to the Open Meetings Act. So members may attend the same event, but they should not use that gathering as an informal committee meeting. The key point here is to be aware of situations outside a properly noticed meeting where a quorum of committee members is either present or participating in a discussion. If a quorum is involved, members should not have substantive conversations about committee business or policy unless the discussion is taking place during an officially noticed and scheduled meeting. And members should also be careful about a walking quorum, and that's where a series of smaller conversations ultimately brings a quorum into the discussion. So talking more about that, a walking quorum occurs when members communicate in groups smaller than a quorum, but the communications are passed along or linked together so that a quorum ultimately participates in the same deliberation. The law does not allow members to avoid an open meeting simply by discussing the issue 2 people at a time. So here is a simple example using a 5-member committee. So assuming 2 members exchange views and research about a proposed rule, one of them then forwards or summarizes that exchange to a 3rd member. At that point, 3 members, a quorum, have participated in the discussion, even though all 3 were never together at the same time. That sequence can create a prohibited walking quorum. Walking quorums are not limited to face-to-face conversations. They can develop through calls, video conferences, hallway conversations, email, text messages, and social media discussions. Technology makes it especially easy for a conversation to expand beyond its original participants, so members should be cautious about replying to group communications or forwarding substantive discussions. The safest practice is not to circulate substantive opinions, proposed decisions, or requests for votes among committee members outside a posted meeting. Do not poll members one at a time. Do not ask TDLR staff or another member to relay positions between members. And avoid social media discussions where enough members could participate to create a quorum. Administrative communications, such as scheduling or confirming attendance, are different, but the exchange should not turn into a discussion of the merits of committee business. During an open meeting, the committee is limited to discussing the specific items listed on the agenda. The public is given an opportunity to speak during the public comment portion of the meeting, and the presiding officer may set reasonable limits on those comments. Usually we set a 3-minute limit. A member of the public or a committee member may raise a subject that is not included on the agenda. However, the committee cannot discuss that subject at the meeting. The discussion must be limited to proposing that matter to be placed on the agenda for a future meeting. As a practical matter, the discussion should stay within the wording of the posted agenda item. If the conversations begin moving into a separate subject, the general counsel attorney may need to step in and redirect the discussion back to the matters that were properly posted. If an unposted issue is raised during public comment, the committee may listen to the comment, but it should not begin a back and forth discussion about that issue. Members may ask TDLR staff to consider placing the subject on a future agenda so it can be discussed with proper public notice. Open Meetings Act violations can have consequences even without criminal intent. An interested person may ask a court to stop conduct that violates the act, and an action taken in violation of the act may be declared voidable. That means a procedural violation can undermine the committee's work and require the matter to be addressed again through a lawful process. The act also includes criminal penalties for certain knowing violations, including knowingly participating in a prohibited closed meeting or certain walking quorum conduct. The possible penalties shown here include a fine, county jail confinement, or both. The purpose of mentioning these penalties is not to alarm anyone, but to emphasize that open meeting requirements are legal obligations, not merely procedural preferences. If you remember only 2 points from this section, remember these. First, do not involve a quorum in substantive committee communications outside a properly posted meeting. Second, during a meeting, keep the discussion within the posted agenda. When you are uncertain, contact TDLR staff or the Office of General Counsel before the communication occurs. These are several resources for additional information, including the Attorney General's training materials and handbook, the text of Government Code Chapter 551, which is the Act, and the Office of General Counsel. We will now turn to the Administrative Procedure Act, often called the APA. For this committee, the APA is especially relevant because one of the committee's central roles is advising TDLR and the Commission on lottery rules. The APA establishes minimum uniform procedures for Texas state agencies and creates opportunities for the public to participate in rulemaking. It is designed to make agency rules legally supportable, transparent, and informed by public input before they become binding requirements. Under the APA, a rule is an agency statement of general applicability that implements, interprets, or prescribes law or policy, or describes agency procedures or practice requirements. The phrase general applicability is important. Rules are generally standards that apply to a category of people or circumstances, rather than a decision resolving only one individual case. Purely internal management statements that do not affect private rights or procedures are generally excluded from the APA definition of a rule. By contrast, the definition does include the full range of formal rule actions, which are adopting a new rule, amending an existing rule, or repealing a rule. Each of those actions must follow the applicable rulemaking procedures. Rule ideas can come from several places. The legislature may enact a law that requires implementing rules. An advisory committee may identify an issue and recommend a change. TDLR staff may identify an operational, enforcement, or licensing need. A required 4-year rule review may reveal that a rule is outdated, and an interested person may submit a formal rulemaking petition. The commission retains final authority to adopt the rule, with the advisory committee providing its subject matter expertise and recommendations as an important part of the rulemaking process. The APA allows an interested person to petition a state agency to adopt a rule. An interested person may be a Texas resident, a Texas business, a Texas governmental subdivision, or an organization located in Texas. TDLR has procedural requirements for submitting a petition, and the agency must act within the statutory deadline by either denying the petition in writing with reasons or initiating a rulemaking proceeding to implement the rule. A petition does not automatically require TDLR to adopt the requested language, but it does require timely consideration and a formal response. This chart follows the rulemaking process through each stage in an S-shaped path, beginning with the development of the draft rules and ending with final consideration by the commission. First, a rulemaking begins with an identified need and the development of draft language. The idea may arise from legislation or many other sources, as we just discussed. TDLR's attorneys and program staff then work together to define the policy objective and draft rule text that is clear, legally authorized, and workable in practice. The next phase is internal review and analysis. The draft is reviewed by the affected divisions, the Office of General Counsel, agency leadership, and other necessary subject matter experts. At the same time, TDLR analyzes the rule's expected effects. That includes fiscal, economic, employment, government growth, and any applicable private property impacts. The agency also prepares a document explaining what the rules do, why they are needed, and the legal authority for them. After internal approval, the proposed rule package is submitted to the governor's office for review. For a program with an advisory committee, that review is sought before the first advisory committee meeting. At the first advisory committee meeting, staff presents the draft proposed rules. The committee may ask questions, discuss the proposal, recommend changes, and vote on whether to recommend publication for public comment. The committee's recommendation is advisory. The department is responsible for proposing the rules, and the commission ultimately decides whether to adopt them. In a later agenda item today, we will conduct this step of the rulemaking process for a rule package. After any appropriate revisions, TDLR files the proposed rules with the Secretary of State for publication in the Texas Register. On the filing date, TDLR also posts plain language summaries in English and Spanish on its website. When a rule implements recently enacted legislation, notice is also provided to the bill's primary author and sponsor. The proposed rules are then published in the Texas Register, and publication begins the formal public comment period, which is at least 30 days. Interested persons may submit comments, data, research, or other information concerning the proposal during that time. After the comment period closes, TDLR reviews every comment and prepares a summary and response. The agency must fully consider the comments, explain whether it agrees or disagrees, and determine whether changes should be recommended. A change that is too substantial or that would materially alter the proposal may require the rules to be republished for another comment period. The proposed rules and public comments then return to the advisory committee for a second meeting. The committee reviews the comments and TDLR's proposed responses and recommends whether the commission should adopt the rules as published, adopt them with permissible changes, or take another course. The proposal then goes to the Commission of Licensing and Regulation to consider the rule package, the public comments, and the advisory committee's recommendation. And the commission may adopt the rules, may adopt them with changes, decline to adopt them, or postpone action. If adopted, TDLR then files an adoption notice with the Secretary of State. The notice is published in the Texas Register and includes the justification for the rules, summaries of the comments, and the advisory committee's recommendation and the commission's action. The rule generally becomes effective 20 days after filing unless a statute or the rule itself establishes a different lawful date. At that point, the adopted text becomes part of the Texas Administrative Code. The Administrative Procedure Act requires state agencies to review each of their rules at least once every 4 years. This process is different from rulemaking. Rule review asks whether the reasons for the existing rules continue to exist and whether the rules should remain in effect. It does not itself amend the rules. So looking at this chart, so first, TDLR maintains a schedule so that each rule chapter is reviewed on a 4-year cycle. The process begins with a notice of intent to review published in the Texas Register. The notice identifies the entire chapter under review and asks the public to comment on whether the original reasons for adopting the rules still exist, whether any provisions have become obsolete, and whether the rules should be readopted or repealed. The public then has 30 days to submit comments, and at the same time, TDLR staff review the chapter based on their day-to-day experience administering the program and provide relevant information and program data. The Office of General Counsel also conducts a legal review to determine whether the rules remain authorized by law and whether they are still necessary. So after the public comments, staff input, data, and legal review have all been evaluated. Staff prepare a recommendation for the commission. The commission then decides whether the reasons for the rules continue to exist and whether to readopt the chapter. The commission is not adopting rule amendments during this part of the process. Its action is merely to readopt the rules that are currently in effect. After the commission acts, a notice announcing the completion of the rule review and the commission's readoption of the chapter is published in the Texas Register. If the rule review identified possible amendments or changes, those are handled separately through the regular rulemaking process shown on the previous slide, and that involves the advisory committee discussion and recommendation. So the important distinction is that the rule review process determines whether existing rules should remain. Any actual changes identified during that review must proceed afterward through a separate rulemaking. And these resources provide more detailed information about administrative rulemaking, including the Attorney General's Handbook, the relevant chapters of the Government Code, and the Secretary of State's Texas Register and Texas Administrative Code websites. The Office of General Counsel will guide the committee through the procedural requirements whenever a rule item comes before you. The final topic is the Public Information Act, also known as the Open Records Act. This law addresses public access to government information, including records created or maintained in connection with committee business. The Public Information Act begins with a presumption of openness. Government records are generally available to the public unless a law makes the information confidential or authorizes it to be withheld. Public information is defined broadly and can include emails, text messages, documents, photographs, recordings, and other electronic communications relating to official business, even when the information is created or stored on a personal device. A public information request must be in writing. At TDLR, requests are submitted through the TDLR Records Center on the agency's website. TDLR must respond promptly, and important legal deadlines begin when the request is received. We do not ask a requester why the records are wanted. Any necessary clarification or narrowing of a request should be coordinated through the General Counsel's Open Records team. The general rule is disclosure, but some information is confidential or must be redacted. The examples on the screen include dates of birth, many personal email addresses, driver and vehicle information, credit card information, and protected medical information. Other information may be withheld only after the agency follows the required legal process, which can include requesting a ruling from the Office of the Attorney General. Committee members should not independently decide to delete, redact, or withhold responsive records. If you personally receive a written request that appears to seek committee or agency records, forward it immediately to the advisory board's team. They will route it to the Office of General Counsel's Open Records team. Do not wait to determine whether the request is valid and do not respond on your own. Similarly, if the Open Records team asks you to search for or provide records, respond as quickly as possible because the agency's legal deadlines continue to run. And these are the principal public information resources, including the Attorney General's training materials and handbook, Government Code Chapter 552, and TDLR's public information policy. So that concludes the open government training. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Members, if you have, I think we have a question. You'll have to unmute, ma'am.
And Kim, that's our Commissioner Nora Castaneda was joined a little bit late, and if we could take a moment to allow her to introduce herself. Commissioner Castaneda served on the TDLR Commission since 2019. Commissioner, are you able to unmute?
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. You're still muted.
Okay,
Thank
there we
you.
go. All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Good morning, team. Derek, I had a question for you. If I needed to discuss something with the chairman or with Courtney, so that's two people, does that mean I'm violating any type of, I don't want to be seen in jail.
Hi, good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
No, speaking in groups smaller than a quorum is not a violation. So, as long as the conversation stays between a group smaller than a quorum. So the commission has 7 members. So as long as it's, staying within less than 4 members.
I thought
then-
though that you had said even it could mean 2 people. And so I thought,
Well,
hence, how do I discuss further conversation with Courtney or chairman?
Right. So the concern is when it starts off with a small number of people and then someone in that group wants to go tell other people about that conversation. And that's a walking quorum. So that's what we have to be careful about, meeting in small groups and then pulling in more people by relaying that information to them.
Okay,
But, the best practice, if it's TDLR business is usually to go through our staff and we can coordinate those communications and ensure that we're not violating anything.
and do you see us best discussing, putting things down, writing things down, or discussing, not email, not text? What's our best? What's your best advice for us in regards to not making any or not breaking any quorum laws?
The best advice would be to, only have substantive discussions during the public meeting. And if you need to relay anything else, do it through TDLR staff.
Okay, appreciate it.
Sure thing.
Any further questions? Good morning, Commissioner. Thank you for joining our meeting.
Thank you. Tried yesterday, wasn't able to try yesterday's.
Oh, rats. Well, if
dogs go to heaven, then
there are committee members, any questions for Mr. Burkhalter? Thank you. That was very thorough.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and appreciate you hitting the high points.
Thank you.
If there are no questions, I'm going to go to agenda item E, public comment. My understanding is that anybody who wanted to address the committee had to submit an email by 12 p.m. Tuesday, July 14th. And as I understand it, there were no requests to give public comment during the meeting. I'd like to confirm that to make sure I'm right on that, Ms. Lopez Sparks.
That is correct. We did not receive any request to give public comment during the meeting.
Okay, well, if we, then we'll go ahead and move to item F, agency update. This is on informational update on agency operations, staffing, and legislative activity related to the lottery program. And I'd like to call on interim lottery and charitable bingo director, deputy executive director, I'm sorry, Sergio Ray. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, it's a mouthful. So good morning. My name is Sergio Ray. Yes, interim deputy executive director of the lottery and charitable bingo division. Yes, even for me. Welcome, committee members, to the Lottery Advisory Committee. Throughout this meeting, you will hear quite a bit of information regarding the Texas Lottery, but I'd like to take a minute to provide a quick overview. The division itself, it has 153 full-time equivalent positions dedicated to the lottery operations, an enforcement team of 17, and of course, receive administrative support from various staff throughout the agency. There are more than 19,800 lottery retailers throughout the state, ranging from convenience stores to major chains like RaceTrac, Walmart, H-E-B, and many others. This year, we're looking forward to completing the application process with Walgreens to add 700 plus more retailers. Retailers have earned more than $8 billion in commissions and incentives since the lottery's inception, thus bringing money back to our local economies. The Texas Lottery has successfully contributed to the several beneficiaries it's had throughout its 34-year history, including $37 billion for Texas public education, $306 million for Texas veteran causes. Thus far, in fiscal year 2026 through June, the foundation's co-fund has received $1.4 billion, and Texas Veterans has received $26 million through the scratch and draw tickets. So this year, the lottery has focused on continuing to keep strengthening the appeal of our scratch tickets portfolio with new games, experiential prizes, and second chance prizes. This year, we've launched experiential second chance prizes that include a trip to Monaco and another with a chance to win an Airstream trailer package. We have a series of family game tickets and continue to provide in our portfolio our popular Loteria themed games. This month, Powerball, the national draw game which Texas participates in through our membership with the Multi-State Lottery Association, or MUSL, is expanding to the United Kingdom. On July 6th, MUSL announced that Powerball will begin sales in the UK on July the 21st, with their very first drawing as a participant on July 22nd. Texas will benefit from the addition of this new jurisdictions, since the additional ticket sales will create larger jackpots and at a faster rate. Texas sales revenue will not be impacted as these dollars will remain in Texas. We started the year very strong with a shared Powerball $1.8 billion top prize winner. This Fredericksburg winner is one of the many Texans who have shared in the $98 billion total prizes paid to winners over the years. Now, the jackpot prizes are Powerball at $498 million, Mega Millions at $672 million, and our homegrown Lotto Texas, or Texas Lotto at $19.5 million. As these continue to rise, retailers will earn more, Texas winners will win higher prizes, and our state beneficiaries will receive additional funds for public education and veteran projects. Aside from sales, the Texas Lottery is committed to the integrity of the game with enforcement measures, automated processes with safeguards for bulk purchasing and purchases from minors, and several audit and validation processes. as well as our commitment to our responsible play campaigns and communications throughout the year. I could go on, but today's meeting is but the start of this information sharing and of this new endeavor. With this, I will conclude my remarks and let you hear from others of our team members about the Texas Lottery and their specifics. So again, welcome to the Lottery Advisory Committee and here to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergio. Committee members, any questions for him regarding the information that you received? No questions? Thank you much, Sergio. Yeah, you could go on for like a gazillion years. I will say to the
Keep
committee,
it at 34.
it's an incredible enterprise, the lottery, and you will learn more about it as I will, because now they're involved in new initiatives that weren't there when I was there. But it's an exciting entrepreneurial, state regulated activity. With that,
Miss Kim,
yes, ma'am.
excuse me, I just thought of something for Sergio. You know, I remember when, it ages me, but I remember when the lottery started and it kept saying it's going to benefit the teachers, it's going to benefit this. Is there any way that how do we promote all the good with the veterans, with this? Because it just seems, as an outsider, it just seems like we have the Texas Lottery, but we don't know the good that all the money that it's made, who it's going to, with the veterans and educators. Those are our topics that are very hot buttons. And it would be nice if the advertisement or the, publicity would come from you guys, or unless I just don't ever run into it.
No, good question. We do, through our social media campaigns, we do try to emphasize, our support to these beneficiaries, the transfers to public education. Now, on that specifically, all our transfers go to the Foundation School Fund, which then the Texas Education Agency is responsible for. But even for Texas veterans, this year we're this just recently we're partnering up with the Veterans Commission with their grant programs and communicating as far as when they do some of the grant announcements and trying to see if we can work something out between the two agencies for promoting those specific items. So yeah, we're looking forward to a continued partnership with the Texas Veterans Commission, and hopefully we'll be able to provide more and more expanded communication about the benefits as it relates directly to veterans.
The lawn guy just got here. Sorry about the dogs. In my opinion, though, I'm not that one person that gets on the lottery board and your newsletter and things like that. I think those are your avid gamblers, or, trying to. I would think that just in general, stories can be sent out to online sources, not so much just your lottery page, because I think the money earned is greatly spent, and benefits many. Just my food for thought.
Commissioner Castaneda, and for the record, Courtney Arbor, you're raising a great point, and this is something we can point out for all the committee members. We have a web page where all of our press releases for the agency can be found, and we do quite a lot of press releases for retailer bonuses paid, or the winners, the story of the winners, who the big winners are, and any policy, even some big policy changes. So what we can do is ensure that we send the link to all of the committee members on how to find that, and then we'll be happy to add you to the distribution list for any of those press releases should you wish to receive those in real time. Also, we are active on all social media and LinkedIn. So if you'll find Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation or Texas Lottery and Charitable Bingo, you will have access to all of those postings as well. But we'll make sure that we send you those things in real time, Commissioner, and any of the committee members who would like to have them.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, but I guess my point is the average person doesn't get into TDLR, doesn't get into lottery commission. You know, the average person, I would assume, would just go into a convenience store, buy a lottery ticket, and not realize the impact that they're really having at the end because the money they spent goes to such good causes. And I just think your average, Jane doesn't go into the TDLR website. I know the good old days when we had newspapers, that was something that we would always remember the nights when the Powerball numbers would come on at night on TV, you know. Um, so that was just my opinion. I just think your average person does not go into a certain site to see all this. And so I was just wondering if you all put any press releases out. And, at the end of the year, every quarter, how good the money is being impacted to our veterans, et cetera, et cetera. That's it.
Very valid point, and we can definitely hone on that communication with our press releases and our local news media when we send those out. And I know that as far as at the retailers, we have several terminal announcements where there are digital messaging so that they can see as well as how lottery is in turn benefiting for our beneficiaries. What's the latest numbers for education and for veterans and latest winners. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for growth, and we can definitely try to hone on that messaging.
Any further questions, Commissioner? Thank you for those points regarding trying to get the word out to just our citizens and our purchasers in Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, and there's also a component in retailer training regarding that kind of level of information. But the points that Sergio made are excellent points. It's my understanding we have to stay within the budget that's appropriated by the legislature for advertising and promotions. And so that's been diminished over the time. And it's, in my view, it's a matter of the staff working as quickly and as they can or efficiently as they can to get the best bang for the buck, so to speak. But I'm making these comments on my own. And so the staff can say, nope, you're wrong anytime. I don't take anything personal. If there's no comments.
Thank you, Kim.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, thank you, Kim. Yes.
Okay. If there's no further comment, I'd like to go to agenda item F. No, I'm sorry, agenda item G, presentation on the agency's lottery operations. And I'd like to call on Lottery Operations Director Kelly Stuckey.
Good morning, committee members. Thank you for your time today. And like Kim said, Kelly Stuckey, Lottery Operations Director. And today I did want to give you a high-level overview of how the Texas Lottery is structured, and more importantly, a look at the unique framework that we rely on. In the lottery industry, we're famously known as having the Texas model. So to help visualize that framework, and Helica, if you could move to the next slide. There you go. And there, if you look there at the top, you'll see our formal governance structure. The entire operation is overseen obviously by our commissioners who set that high-level policy and provide us strategic direction. But then directly reporting to them is Courtney, our executive director, who leads the execution of that policy. And then directly below Courtney is us, the TDLR staff. We serve as the regulatory authority and the administrative backbone of the lottery. And just to put it simply, our core duties include developing and implementing all the approved Texas lottery games. We license and regulate all of our retailers. We collect the sales proceeds and pay prizes. We conduct the live drawings and enforce the statutes, and we approve all the advertising and marketing initiatives. So essentially, the state of Texas maintains a strict and complete control over the regulatory function of running the lottery. But what makes us unique and the Texas model unique is running a lean, efficient operation by partnering with the private sector. So instead of the state hiring thousands of public employees to print our scratch tickets, to service our retailers, to run the massive gaming system, or produce commercials, our state team focuses strictly on the oversight and the management of those processes. So we let the private vendors handle the large scale infrastructure and the day-to-day execution of a lot of those processes. So it's a setup that maximizes the revenue for Texas without creating a massive government footprint. So then if you look at the bottom of that chart, you'll see exactly how we do that. And we kind of break it out into 5 highly specialized pillars, if you will. The first pillar is scratch ticket manufacturing services. And we contract this out to industry experts, Scientific Games, Pollard Banknote, and Bright Star Lottery. And for fiscal year 26, this accounted for $72.6 million, or about 24% of our budget, of our operating budget. And what's interesting here is we do split this print business almost equally between these 3 vendors, giving each roughly a third. Texas is unique in this structure as well, and we do it on purpose. We think it forces competition, it drives innovation, and just guarantees that all 3 vendors are always bringing us their absolute best. The second pillar is the advertising media service, which is managed by the vendor Third Ear. So this accounts for the $10 million of our operating budget. Their team is responsible for building and executing our media plans. They handle everything from buying and placing ads on various media platforms, as well as managing those big out-of-home billboards you see across the state. The third pillar and our largest pillar is the lottery operations and services contract run by Bright Star Lottery. So I think of this as a massive technical backbone of our entire operation. They cover the gaming system, the telecommunication network, they do our retailer terminals, but they also handle ground level work, like managing our sales reps who service our nearly 20,000 retailers. They handle the warehousing, the packing, and distribution of our scratch tickets, and as well as the hotline support systems. So because they do so much, they're our largest single expense in our budget. In FY26, it represented $156.7 million, or 52% of our budget. But here's what makes them different. Lottery operator is paid on a performance-based rate on a percent of sales. So currently that rate is 1.9889% of sales. So that means this dollar fixture isn't fixed and it moves dynamically with how well we sell. So this is incredibly advantageous to the state because it perfectly aligns the vendor with their financial goals with our revenue goals. If we want to make more money, if they want to make more money, they have to help us drive sales. And then on the flip side, when sales dip, the state costs automatically scale down to that as well. The fourth pillar is our drawings and CPA services. That's handled by Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. They guarantee the integrity and the public trust. This independent accounting firm physically stands in the room and observes every single one of our in-state drawings, and they certify that they're done by the book and according to procedure. So this annual contract is approximately $840,000 and is a vital investment in total transparency for our players. And then the last pillar here, we have the drawing studio and production services. This contract is executed by Elephant Productions, and they handle the physical production and the live broadcasting of those live drawings. So it's a $2.2 million contract and ensures that our broadcasts are high quality, seamless, and above all, secure. And then just to put it all in perspective and to show how this translates financially, for 2026, the Lottery Operations Division has a total budget of $298 million. So when you take those 5 major contracts that I just mentioned, their total is $242.3 million, or 81% of that budget you can see that our operational budget is directly tied to these partnerships. So that leaves approximately 55.7 million of our budget allocated into 3 remaining areas. First, you have our personnel cost. It's approximately 4% of the budget at 11.3 million. And this directly funds our 151 full-time employees within the lottery operations division itself. We have 107 dedicated staff here in Austin headquarters, and then we have another 44 deployed statewide throughout our claim centers. These are the professionals who keep the entire framework of the lottery running smoothly, and I'll get into those departments here in a bit, but that doesn't include the support divisions like your enforcement, your IT, media relations, HR, legal, administration, OC, Office of Controller, and governmental affairs. The second biggest category is our retailer bonus and incentive program. That's 41.4 million or 14%. So this investment is designed to strengthen our partnerships with the retailers selling our products. So in addition to the statutory 5% commission the retailers earn on every ticket they sell, we also run performance-based incentive programs throughout the year. So when a retailer meets specific sales goals, they can earn additional incentive payments. We also reward retailers who sell high-tier winning tickets. So for example, that Fredericksburg retailer that won Powerball this past September, they received a $250,000 bonus for their role in that success. And then lastly, the other operating expense of around $4 million. It's 1.3% of our budget, and that just covers the essential day-to-day operating costs, our standard travel dollars, and then some of our smaller operational agreements, such as our promotional and sponsorship contracts. So then the next slide, I'll walk you through how our internal division is structured. So we're split, the lottery operations division is split into 5 different departments. The first department is our products team. This team is responsible for developing and maintaining our revenue drivers, the scratch tickets and draw games. The scratch ticket team works hand in hand with those 3 manufacturers I mentioned earlier and manage the $72.6 million print budget. Scratch tickets are the true engine of our business. I'm sure Brandy will talk further into those sales details in a bit, but they oversee the game design, the prize structure, and our highly popular Second Chance Drawings program. So the Second Chance programs give our players a shot at bucket list prizes ranging from local sports season tickets like our Dallas Cowboy and Houston Texans to trips like Sergio mentioned earlier to Vegas, Palm Springs, or even Monaco. Next, we have the Draw Games group who acts as the ultimate project managers for our jackpot and draw portfolio. They coordinate seamless rollouts across the agency and with our external vendors whenever we have new games or changes to games. And then they're monitoring our game performance and all the draw games, and then they design targeted player promotions. The next group is the advertising and promotions department. This contract manages our $10 million advertising contract with Third Ear. And Kim, like you mentioned earlier, to put that budget into context, back in 2016, we operated with a $32 million advertising budget. So following the next several biennium or legislative sessions, we had several legislative cuts, and now we've been operating at this flat $10 million mark since 2022. So because of this, we've had to become very precise. So the bulk of that $10 million goes to our billboards. That accounts to 6.2 million of that budget. And those are those jackpot signs for the Powerball and Mega Millions. And then we stretch the remaining balance across several scratch ticket campaigns. We've also tried to bring in some of the creative work in-house and produce some content internally to keep, to help with that ad agency price tag. We can do some of that stuff in-house now. And then this team also manages our promotional footprint. They manage our promotional items, our promotional events, and any of our corporate sponsorships. And the next group is the drawings and validation department. That's split into 2 operational sections. The draw team is made up of 18 individuals who physically conduct our live draw games. And they also conduct any specialty draw games we have alongside that vendor I mentioned earlier, Elephant Productions, and the CPA auditors. And they all just ensure, again, that every draw is flawless and secure. Then we have our validation section. This team verifies winning tickets and authorizes prize payments across our 16 claim centers across the state. We have various ways for players to claim. They can claim prizes under 600 at a local retailer, up to 2.5 million at any claim center, up to $5 million in prizes. They can be claimed at our regional metro claim centers. Those are like your bigger cities, Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. And then anything over 5 million has to come here to Austin to be processed. Then we also offer a couple other options. They can mail in prizes up to 5 million. And then we also have an option on our mobile app for them to receive digital Zelle payments. This department also manages our state debt collection. So before we pay out a prize, we check if a winner owes money to the state. So over the last 3 years, we've averaged about $2.8 million in annual collections. And that's sending money back to cover things like back child support, unemployment overpayments, or delinquent student loans. And then our 4th department is our retailer services department. They serve as our licensing, accounting, and customer service hub. They handle everything from keeping entry barrier low with highly affordable licensing fees to managing the financial side of the house as far as our weekly sweep that we do on retailers' bank accounts to collect our net lottery proceeds. And if they happen to run into insufficient funds, they manage the collections process with the retailers and the compliance side of that house. And then they also house our frontline customer service and complaint hub for players, retailers, and just the general public. They collaborate directly with our enforcement division for investigations as needed. And then depending on the outcomes of those investigations, we evaluate and assess violations ranging from warnings all the way up to license revocations. And this team also oversees our scratch ticket warehouse. So while I mentioned earlier that Brightstar actually handles the day-to-day warehouse logistics of our scratch tickets, we do have retailer services staff on site there that physically oversee those processes. And then our last department, we have our security department. It's a small but mighty team of 6. It's responsible for maintaining strict compliance of our entire operations. So they audit weekly drawings, they forensically verify jackpot winning tickets before funds are paid out, and they investigate any questionable tickets that come across our claim centers. They also oversee our rigorous and independent laboratory testing of all of our scratch tickets. So they ensure our quality control before those scratch tickets are delivered to the retailers. So I know that was a lot. That was Texas Lottery kind of in a quick nutshell. Ultimately, the Texas model proves that a lean state agency can successfully manage a massive multi-billion-dollar operation. So by partnering with the private sector for the heavy infrastructure in those 5 core internal departments that we have in lottery operations, we can focus on what matters most, the strict oversight, the operational integrity, and fiscal accountability. So because we keep our government footprint small, we maximize that return for the state, ensuring our daily work translates into billions of dollars to Texas through public education and veteran services. Thank you, and welcome to the Texas Lottery. Happy to answer any questions.
Members, do you have any questions? Any members? I would, Kelly, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'd like to put out the information regarding the cap in the Lottery Act on how much the lottery can spend, percentage wise, that cap, but what actually the lottery is performing at. Because I think that's important to emphasize the efficiency of the operation of the lottery and I guess highlight the model. So I don't want to put you on the spot. But
Sure. And I don't want to steal any Brandy's thunder from her presentation, but we are capped at a 12% administrative rate. 5% of that goes to the retailers and their retailer commission, and then the remaining 7% is what we can operate with. But I will say, we've been operating between a 3 and 4% rate here at the agency over the last, I don't know, several years. So.
I see a question.
Yes, this is Deanna Melanson Newcomb. My question, it may not be answered today, but I'm interested in the conflicts of interest between or potential disclosures between our vendors and the committee or the commission itself. Just how we handle to make sure that that process is clean. Just something that came to mind.
Is that a question for me or Dana?
No, I understand this to be a question that you've raised, but would like maybe at the next meeting, a little bit more
Possibly.
information on it.
Absolutely, that would be fine. Just curious of the process of disclosures of potential conflicts and how it's handled to ensure integrity. Because I see the integrity's been written through and and you know, I mean, it's amazing on the way it's been actually structured, but it's just one of those controls along the way that you want to continue to it's my curiosity to see how it actually works.
Kim, if you'd be okay with this, let us talk about that question. We may reach out to members before the next meeting just to get any clarification that we think would be important before the meeting. And also, this is a good time to say, if you're contacted by a vendor or anyone in the lottery community, Kim, you may be planning to cover this, but please direct them to the staff. It would be better, particularly in the early days of you all's tenure, to direct them to us, and then we'd be happy to double back to you or bring you into a meeting with someone if it's appropriate.
Are you comfortable with me kind of piggybacking on that right now, Courtney?
I think so.
The process.
Is that okay from a meetings perspective? I think so, since it's an active question, but Derek or
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay. So I for one, and I'm just going to speak, kind of personal privilege here. If any vendor rep contacts a member of the committee, please, if it's in right, immediately forward it to whoever is the appropriate person, and I don't know that, on the staff of TDLR. Please don't respond substantively, because you won't know whether there's an active procurement going on at the time, and whether they're trying to, you just never know. And I don't want to, wear the hat of a jaded cynic. I want to wear the hat of somebody who's extremely risk averse as in terms of procurements and other activities. So Courtney, I appreciate you letting me put those words in. And if we need to get to an agenda item for the next one on how conflicts of interest are handled, I'll defer to the staff at the agency on whether we need an agenda item or not. Is that fine with you? Okay.
And that is an agenda item today.
Okay. Well, oops, sorry. We'll get to that.
Well, no, I mean, putting things on the next meeting.
Oh, I thought you were talking about ethics. I was like, I didn't see that, but oopsie.
No.
Okay, I think committee member Pate, am I right about? I'm sorry, I'll learn your names. I'm bad on that.
Yes, that is correct, and certainly feel free to call me David. Mr. Pate's more formal than I need. My question, and you may be covering this coming up, but you're talking about the limits on the expenditures. How does the Texas Lottery compare with other states, or do we know that about what we're returning to our targeted programs? Are we, significantly more efficient than other lottery programs? And that may be a topic for a future meeting, and that's fine to say that also.
I mean, we can definitely come back and give you some additional detail, but I do know that Texas is one of the more lean as far as administratively expenditures and returning to the state. But we can get you you know, how we compare, more details on that, exactly how we fall in.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Members,
Kim, can I say,
yes, ma'am.
say something just real quick? In terms of any contact, when the committee members need to reach out, Angelica is their point of contact.
Thank you.
So if you need to forward anything or send anything to any staff member, send it to Angelica and she'll get it to the right person.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Kelly, thank you so much for the robust, detailed description of lottery operations. It's a lot of moving parts. If no further questions, I'd like to move to agenda item H, report and possible discussion on lottery sales and revenue. And I'd like to call on Chief Financial Officer Brandy Myers. And I'd like to apologize if I stole your thunder on the percentage efficiency. I'll learn your process better.
Good morning, members. My name is Brandy Myers. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the agency, and today I will be presenting on our weekly sales summaries and what these look like. And also know that what I'm going to be presenting to you today is also on our public website. So we'll jump right in. The summary that you're looking at is for sales as of July 4th. So our sales calculations, they go from Sunday to Saturday. And when these materials are put together, the most recent information that we had available was as of the 4th. So that's what you're looking at right now, but I will give you an update as to what we had received in sales last week. So what you're looking at right now is our fiscal year-to-date sales comparison. So this is taking all of our draw games, and it's also including our scratch tickets at the top, which you'll see makes up the vast majority, approximately 80% of what our sales are come from scratch tickets. And then you'll see it also listing all of, like I said, all the draw games that are there. On this report, you're seeing some additional historical data comparing it to fiscal years 24, 25, and also to this year. And you'll notice that with how the weeks fall, some years have more days that are calculated within that year than others. So you'll see that as of July 4th, we had about 6.6 billion with a B in revenue for all of our sales. Next slide, please. Thank you, Angelica. This slide just shows you what the average sales comparisons are for each of those games for each of the years. And also showing at the bottom how many days, once again, because the days rotate with the weeks in each fiscal year. So this is just giving you an average. I will say that what I've learned about lottery sales reporting is that we can slice and dice it about any way and report it to you. So if there's ever any questions, of course, let us know, but that's what you're looking at on that slide. The next slide shows the details. Very, very small. I recognize that. I'm sorry. Thankfully, it's in your materials so that you can look at it as well. But this is showing every single week in fiscal year 26, comparing it to fiscal year 25 in our sales totals. So you're looking at that first section is all of our scratch tickets and what we're receiving in sales of scratch. The next section is draw games, and then you can see the total sales. They ebb and flow, as you can see. Some days some weeks are, a lot better than others. A lot of the drivers for this, they are the jackpots. As the jackpots tend to increase, like we're seeing right now with Powerball and Mega Million at 498 million and 672 million respectively, we're seeing an increase in our draw sales. So that's exciting because ultimately this ends up in more money for our purposes of education and the veterans. Angelica, if you'll scroll to the next page, this will give you the rest of this report for the current year. And again, like I said, what you're looking at is at the end of July 4th week. As of the end of July 11th, so last Saturday, We also had received 139.4 million in sales, which was 3.2% above what was collected for this year, or excuse me, this week last year. So we're hovering at about a negative 0.87% of sales in total year over year. All right. Next slide, please. And for those of you that like to see it in graph versus number form, this is what this slide is showing you. This is showing you total sales. It's dividing it out by scratch ticket sales year over year and draw game sales year over year, just putting it in a visual format. Next slide, please. And then of all the scratch tickets that we have, we like to report on what the top 10 selling games are, and that's what you're seeing here. Our $1 Million Loteria game, which is a price point of $20, is one of our consistent top 10 sellers. And so this is what you're looking at here. You'll see what the sales are for those games. You'll see how much those games cost, and what that looks like in the table. Next slide, please. And then the next thing we're looking at is prize payouts. So of all those sales that we're bringing in, we do pay out the respective prizes for those, and that's what you're seeing right here. So for sales through the week of 7/4, we had paid out 1.3 billion in the actual prize payout. And so this is coming out of the sales that we received. Next slide, another visual piece for you. This is our scratch ticket sales. These are by our price points. So our $50 games, $1 games, $2 games, etc. And you're seeing where the biggest chunks of those sales are coming from in this, and how many games are at that price point and what percentage that looks like. So again, just more visual versus numbers specifically on like a spreadsheet. Next slide, please. This is an all games comparison. So once again, when we say scratch tickets is our biggest seller and the biggest amount of our revenue, that's what you're seeing right here visually. It's about 80.3% as of the week of July 4th. And then you'll see every other piece of the pie and what that equates to as far as all of our other games. The next slide, please. I recognize this is teeny tiny. So I'll give you what this is looking like. This is our summary of financial information. This is taking what our total sales have been, what the prize percentages have been, what the commissions have been, what's gone into the foundation school fund, what goes into veterans every year. And we update this monthly. This is also something that can be found on our website. So at the bottom of this page, there is a notation for fiscal year 26 that says through May of 2026, because that was the last transfer that was done, because we do these transfers monthly by the 15th. So this will be updated. In fact, I will let you know it has already been updated for June. Again, when these materials were presented, this was the most recent information available. But you can see on this report that at the bottom, to the Foundation School Fund, we've already sent $1.2 billion this year. And we've also sent 23.8 million to the Texas veterans. So those are exciting causes and exciting to be a part of that process. So we're looking at a total of 1.3 billion in total transfers to the state. Again, this is updated monthly and also can be found on our website. And the last page of sales reporting, this is just putting the details of those transfers into a month by month format so you can see exactly what is going where and when it's going, or excuse me, how much of it is going. And then the next section in that, the bottom yellow box on this one, This is unclaimed prizes. So for the unclaimed prizes, those are also getting transferred to the Foundation School Fund and to the veterans respectively. So that's what we're looking at. These numbers tie to what was in that summary sheet. This is just some more detail of that. And then you can see also what we have in fiscal year 26 reserved for administration. And so this is the appropriation that the agency has for operations, which includes all of the things that Ms. Stuckey mentioned in her presentation relating to the contracts. And that is the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Members, any questions? Thank you for that presentation. That's a lot of information, a lot of numbers. But I think at the end, it shows the amount of money that's going for good causes through May 2026. Committee members, any questions? A lot to digest. If there are no questions, then I'll go ahead and move to agenda item I. This is the discussion and possible recommendation on the proposed repeal of an existing rule at 16 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 140, Subchapter A, Section 140.2. Amendments to existing rules at Subchapter B, Section 140.152, 140.153, 140.157, 140.158, and 140.160, and Subchapter E, Section 140.355 and 140.366, and a new rule at Subchapter E, Section 140.369 regarding the Texas Lottery Program. These amendments implement Senate Bill 1346 and Senate Bill 3070, 89th Legislature Regular Session 2025. They also update and clarify certain terms of processes to increase transparency. I'd like to call on Assistant General Counsel Kyle Wolf and Assistant General Counsel Derek Burkhardt. I will tell you that this is an action item. We'll need to make a motion and second to publish the rules in the Texas Register for public comment if that's the committee's will. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Wolf and Mr. Burkhardt.
Thanks. Good morning, committee. I am Kyle Wolf, Assistant General Counsel for TDLR's lottery program. I'm going to walk you through this proposed rule package that you received, and I will be happy to answer any questions while we go through it. Again, as the presiding officer said, this is an action item. The proposal updates multiple rules. It repeals one rule, and we are adding one new rule. These proposed amendments specifically are implementing Senate Bills 1346 and 3070 that were passed this last regular legislative session, and they also clarify some items and just make some simple corrections. You're going to notice once I share my screen here that throughout the proposed rule package, references to commission are updated to department, just as part of that transition, and rule cross references reflect the move to Chapter 140. The rules were previously in Chapter 401, so there's a lot of cross references throughout here, referencing the old chapter. Let me share my screen really quick here. Okay, on this first one here, this is the I'm gonna highlight. We're not gonna go through every single one of, just like I said, there's some of those references and stuff just are self-explanatory. But this first rule here, 140.2 Bingo Advisory Committee, when the Texas Lottery Commission was dissolved and the state lottery was transferred over to TDLR, we had a placeholder rule for the Bingo Advisory Committee. So we're just repealing this. That rule was moved to the bingo chapter. That's in the administrative code. That's 141.102 if you're curious. So that's all that's happening with this Bingo Advisory Committee rule that we're opposing to just be repealed, so it's no longer redundant with that one that's been moved to the bingo chapter. We have here subchapter B, licenses of sales agents. This is our application for license rule, specifically 140.152. This one just has references to in here director. One of the weird quirks that we had of the State Lottery Act was that the director of the Lottery Operations Division had a lot of authority and authorized a lot of things. But when they came in and did SB 3070, they cleaned that up, and now it's just all that authority lies with the executive director. So that's what you're seeing here as we cleaned up. And tell me if I'm going too fast. I'm just scrolling through what I think is a moderate pace here. This last subsection F, we just cleaned this up. It had a lot of stuff. We just said, well, let's comply with the open, the Texas Public Information Act, the open records, and it'd be much simpler. Here, this 140.153 qualifications for license rule. The key highlight here is, other than these just little cleanup items here that you'll see throughout, just getting rid of this section, is this just more cleanup here. Down here at the very end, this last subsection G, we are proposing to add this, that a person whose license is revoked under Government Code Section 466.1555B and 140.158 relating to suspension or revocations may not apply for a license before the first anniversary of the license revocation date. And the reason that's put in there, this Government Code Citation 466.155B was one of the new laws that was implemented prohibiting bulk purchases. And so if someone's license is revoked, they can't apply according to that law before the first anniversary of the license revocation date. 157, nothing super substantive here, just doing again some of this cleanup of these cross references and just some of these minor items. Then we'll move into 140, 158. I will say staff, we enforcement and legal, we live in this rule a lot. I call this our violations laundry list. As part of this new legislation, we are adding several violations. Here, just at the beginning of the rule, you'll see a lot more of this cleanup. And then here you'll see where the laundry list starts. We've got, all the way down here, the newer ones will start here, I believe, in number 39. This is mirroring a new law here, I believe from SB 3070, that a licensee cannot sell to one individual more than 100 tickets in a single transaction, whether it's draw game tickets, scratch tickets, or any combination thereof. Again, that's just pretty self-explanatory. It's a violation now to sell over 100 tickets to one person in a single transaction. The next one here is 40. It used to be the intent of selling to someone who was it had to be intentionally and knowingly. If you sold to someone younger than 18 years for it to be a violation, the legislature wanted to change that, and now it's criminal negligence. 'Cause some of this legalese, that's just it's a lower bar to prove that someone acted with criminal negligence than the intention or knowingly. So it's really just clamping down on those on any sales to individuals that are younger than 18 years old. Here on this next one here, just some more cleanup in these 41, 42, 43. 44 is one of our new violations that we are proposing. Licensee that knowingly sells or allows a sale of tickets of a lottery game involving a drawing to one or more persons attempting to purchase all or substantially all possible winning tickets for the drawing, and that will be punishable by revocation only. This is the probably the one that got the most traction in the media. This is prohibiting bulk purchases. So no longer can a licensee sell to anyone if they have knowledge that they are attempting to purchase all or substantially of all the potential winning tickets in a drawing. And if that's found out that it's done, we'll go through the enforcement process, and their license will be revoked. The next one we're proposing is the licensee fails to verify the age of each ticket purchaser at the point of sale. Again, that is revocation only. It may be a little confusing with the prohibition on selling to individuals that are under 18, but that is a separate violation to verify the age. A lot of new legislation in the last few years on age verification, and this is really just implementing that the licensee now need to scan the ID or visually inspect it. And if they don't do that, it will be a violation and punishable by revocation. Again, here, just a lot of these, I think, are curbing the courier activity that we had. This is 46. We're adding licensee by telephone, internet application, or mobile internet application facilitates the purchase or orders the purchase of ticket for a lottery game. So just prohibiting our licensees from, facilitating purchases or orders over the telephone, internet, or mobile internet applications. And a lot of that wording is just straight from the legislation. That will also be punishable by revocation if it's found out that a licensee has violated that prohibition. Again, kind of overlapping with the last one, licensee by telephone, internet application, or mobile internet application for compensation accepts an order for a ticket for a lottery game from a player, sells a ticket for a lottery game to a player, or arranges to purchase a ticket on behalf of a person playing a lottery game, or arranges for another person to purchase a ticket on behalf of a person playing a lottery game. Again, you have a lot of these third parties that are online trying to sell lottery tickets, and this is just clamping down on that. And if it's found out, if a licensee, partakes in these prohibited activities, they will also be subject to revocation. The licensee sells tickets, this last one, 48, to a person who is not physically present at the retailer's location, a person outside the retailer's license location, or to a person outside the normal business hours of the retailer's license location. Um, Again, this is just keeping those sales of tickets in the retailer's location, and if that's a violation, that licensee, their license will be subject to a revocation. Here, and then we have this last subsection here. We're just clarifying what a ticket means for this, for the laundry list, the violations, and so we put this in here that a ticket means a single scratch ticket, single draw game ticket, which may include multiple plays per ticket, and that's just clarifying for enforcement purposes what ticket means. And so, what we have in ours, so those who are unfamiliar with this, we have a standard penalty chart, and really it's just a rubric of how we assess licensees if they do commit a violation and that's proof they're so, or if they agreed to it. We will look at this standard penalty chart and determine the appropriate penalty. And so, if we are adding those new proposed violations, we needed to come through here again. Just more of this cleanup of the right. Here's the chart right here. It's in.
Pardon me.
Subsection.
I'm s-
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
Yeah.
Derek Burkhalter, Assistant General Counsel. I'm being told on the side that I guess the video is not working, that the audience is not able to see the proposed rules. They can hear the audio, but they can't see the members or the text. So, Angelica, I think we're working on trying to iron
Okay.
out that technical detail, but we might want to pause for just a moment.
Okay, I can see perfectly the shared screen, and I hear Mr. Wolf perfectly. So I can't speak for others, but I have no problem.
Right. It's our YouTube feed. We're streaming WebEx to YouTube, and YouTube kind of went black for a moment. So I'm being told I think it's back up and running.
Yes, it is back up now.
So we're good to go. We can continue. Do we need to go back, Derek, a little bit, or I don't know when it shut off?
Yeah, I don't know when it dropped off. It was at 11:35 that I received a notice, so maybe.
We were able to hear everything. It was just an issue with seeing the video. So whether that means that we need to go back or not, I'm not sure.
I don't mind. We'll just scroll through these violations one more time. I mean, they're important, and just for completeness, let's do it real quick. Again, yep, this is just the this is our bread and butter enforcement rule here. It is 140.158. There's a lot of cleanup here in these early subsections. The main violations that we're proposing to add here start on 39 with this edit to 40. Again, that should have been picked up on the audio. I'm just rehashing for anyone in the public that may have not been able to see this. We've got this new violations again, 44, 45, 46, 47, and then 48 that we summarized, and then this subsection defining ticket. And this is our rule with our standard penalty chart. And there's a lot of cleanup here in the beginning, just as I said, turning commission into department, and director and executive director. And then we have here in subsection H, the standard penalty chart. again, that's just our rubric showing how we assess these penalties. And so if we're adding those proposed new violations in 140.158, then this needs to be updated as well. And that's what we've done here. As you can see, here's the rubric if they have a violation of just how we would suggest suggest a disciplinary action. So here, well, again, it mirrors the violations that were added to 158. So they're going to be down here starting at 39. You can see these other ones, just how the standard penalty chart looks. Again, here you can see 39 is in a second tier violation, and all these newer violations, 40 through to the end, are your first occurrence will be a revocation, and it's also replicated in that rule. We have it in parentheses for these that are just revocation for your first time. So you can see here, it's just mirroring a lot of those violations. Licensing knowingly sells or allows the sale of tickets involving a driver to one or more persons attempting to purchase all. And item 44, 45, licensee fails to verify the age of each ticket purchaser at the point of sale. The serial one first occurrence, that's a revocation. For licensee by telephone, internet application, or mobile internet application facilitates the purchaser orders or purchase of a ticket for a lottery game. That's a revocation. Again, this overlapping rule about prohibiting, third-party sales, by telephone or over the internet. That's revocation. And then just a licensee that sells to a ticket that's not physically present or outside the license location or outside the normal business hours. That will also be revocation on the first occurrence. This next one in subchapter E, these are the retailer rules, specifically this one that we are proposing a new amendment is 140.355. Yes. Yep.
We need 50 homeowners in your area to trial this.
So we've got 140.355 restricted sales here. Really the important one here is this one to start out with. There's some other subsections that are deal. This is the basically it gives out more details on the age verification. Subsection D, it reads, each retailer shall electronically access the electronically readable information on each ticket purchaser's driver's license, commercial driver's license, or personal identification certificate to verify the ticket purchaser is 18 years of age or older. If the retailer cannot access the electronically readable information, the retailer may visually inspect the ticket purchaser's driver's license, commercial driver's license, or personal identification certificate to verify the ticket purchaser is 18 years of age or older. A lot of this very specific language came from the bill itself, and also we referenced TABC's, the Texas Alcohol and Beverage Commission's rule on age verification to kind of suss this out, and that's where a lot of this language came for, just for some background. Then we have these extra two subsections. Retailers shall not sell to one individual more than 100 lottery tickets in a single transaction, whether draw game tickets, scratch tickets, or any combination. Again, that's just harkening back to that one violation that retailers are prohibited from selling more than 100 lottery tickets in a single transaction.
Kyle,
And then, yes, absolutely.
excuse me, a question. Do we have any procedure in place to make sure I don't go in and buy over 100 and then I go to the next store and buy over 100 lottery scratch offs, or can they do that and that's still okay?
I'm honestly not sure what the programming is. As it was worded, it's just a single transaction. So they could, it wasn't provided, what the time is between that single transaction. Um, Reading this, I would, that could be a concern. I do think we have some programming on that, but I'm not sure on the. Maybe Kelly could speak to that on how on the parameters of how that's being prohibited.
Can
So
I kind of piggyback on
Sure.
the commissioner's question and say, I thought the issue was to prevent a bulk sale at a single location where there was a facilitation of providing a bunch of terminals in one location. And so if an individual wants to take the time to go from one location to another location to another location, that, I'm not sure. I had that same thought when I was reviewing, and I thought, well, that the whole point of the bulk sale was to stop it in one location. But that's just my thought. And Kyle, I didn't know if that had been something that the staff had discussed.
There's definitely some overlap. So we do have that bulk one that says all or substantially all, and that is absolutely to stop that from buying every combination of a winning ticket. This one is it's just a different legislative provision that was put in here, and this was just the language that it had. It said 100 lottery tickets in a single transaction. Um, so I believe we have something prohibiting the sale of over 100 lottery tickets. As far as the question the commissioner has as how far we take that, I'm just not sure. So
So Commissioner, I might elaborate a little bit on the, we've educated our retailers that they cannot sell more than 100 tickets per transaction per person, but there's not a system limitation that we can implement into the gaming system to prevent it. So it's all communication driven to the retailers to be able to prevent that at the clerk. So.
well, and just to give the committee some background and the commissioner, we have a group, a retailer group, and we're pushing out retailer advisories all the time to their in-store lottery terminal. All our retailers have in-store lottery terminals, and excuse me, they have received this multiple times, and it's regularly provided in their update that they are prohibited from selling more than 100 lottery tickets in a single transaction. So just to give you some background on how we communicate with our retailers, we're pushing those out all the time. This next subsection, if we're ready to move on, the retailer.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is Irv Leos. And to write on that. I guess a single transaction. I know that the commissioner and Ms. Kim there were talking about going to a different vendor to purchase those tickets. But I guess a single transaction, I guess my question too, and I know there's nothing in there to prevent it. So the purchaser purchases 100 tickets. Obviously the retailer provides that they can't sell more than 100 tickets. So the purchaser can walk out the store and come back in, or get back in line and then purchase again. So pretty much can purchase, say, more than 100, right? And obviously they have to wait, and the retailer has to go through the process, but again, they can do that, correct?
That is how I read it. If it's a separate transaction, they could buy another 100 tickets. It's just when you start getting to that new legislative prohibition on substantially all. So, where that would be, I guess that would be for the fact finder to determine what's substantially all. But, if they're doing a draw game and they go and they buy 5 transactions of 100 lottery tickets in a day, let's say they buy 500, that's not going to be anywhere close to all the combinations. um, um, just to give you background on that. So,
Okay, thank you.
um, so this next one is that retailers shall not sell tickets to a person who is not physically present at the retailer's location. Again, this was in that laundry list of violation. A person outside the retailer's license location, and to a person outside the normal business hours of the retailer's license location. Again, just prohibiting those sales outside of the retailer's location. I would think I would also curb down on any third parties trying to sell online. Um, just on this one, 140.368, we toyed with adding this this new rule seen in here. We ended up not doing it, so this is just clean up in this rule. 368 again, just replacing commission with department. But then we decided to go ahead and create this new rule, or propose this new rule rather, 140.369, and this is straight from the legislation. Limitations on certain lottery equipment. This first subsection: a sales agent license location may not be supplied with more than 5 traditional lottery terminals unless approved by the director.
I'm sorry,
And then,
Kyle.
yes,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. It looks like we're still having technical difficulties.
sure.
Kim, do you mind calling for just a break, maybe a 10-minute break or so, we can get that resolved? So we can make sure we're capturing everything for the public.
Yeah, let's do a 10-minute break. Are y'all okay with Kim, with coming back, I guess around noon
Let's
or
do it.
at noon?
We're gonna take a 10-minute break. And I'm assuming it's okay if we go, shut down our video for 10 minutes and resume at, noon?
Yes. Thank you.
Check 1, 2.
All right, we recessed because there were a bit of technical difficulties. We're resuming the meeting. We are still on agenda item I. I'll turn this back over to Assistant General Counsel Kyle Wolf.
Thanks, Kim. Technology, it's a blessing and a curse. Here, let me share my screen real quick. All right, so we have this last proposed rule. This is a new one that we're proposing, and this is really mirrors a lot of this new legislation. And it's going to be 140.369, limitations on certain lottery equipment. Subsection A here, a sales agent licensed location may not be supplied with more than 5 traditional lottery terminals unless approved by the director, and the number of terminals must not be disproportionate to the amount of legitimate retail business conducted at that location. Lottery vending machines are exempt from this limit due to the $100 per transaction limit at each machine. Promotional events conducted by the Texas Lottery are temporarily exempt from the terminal limit for the duration of the event, and the retailer may be supplied with additional equipment as approved by the director to support promotional activities. And again, this last subsection, for the purpose of the subsection, a traditional lottery terminal refers to a clerk-operated device solely dedicated to processing lottery transactions, printing tickets, and validating winning entries. Yeah, this is a limitation, again, just to curb that any possibility of purchasing, all or substantially all of the combinations of a draw. And again, this is just mirroring the legislation. I went pretty fast there trying to get everyone to lunch. Again, feel free to ask me any questions, but our goal here is to get all of these proposed amendments or present this rule package rather at the October 6th, 2026 commission meeting for adoption. To get there, we're going to publish these rules in the Texas Register for public comment for 30 days, pending your recommendation, of course. And if the committee meets again before the commission meeting October 6th, the committee can review any public comments, and we can discuss anything that comes up from those. Right now, I think we're circling or looking around September 21, 22. We can hash all that out with everyone's schedules, but just for informational purposes, just wanted to let everyone know, that's what we like to do is if we can have an extra advisory committee meeting around that time, latest September, before the October 6th committee meeting. Again, this is an action item, and staff is requesting your recommendation to publish the proposed rules in the Texas Register for public comment. And thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Members, any questions for Mr. Wolf? Kyle, I'd like to just put some comments on the record, or maybe ask a question, maybe in a question way. Throughout your rulemaking package, you see the word licensee, sales agent, and retailer.
Sure.
Those are interchangeable in terms of this particular rule package. Is that correct?
Correct. So yeah, it's always noticed as a quirk of we'd use retailer. I mean, retailer is more of the actual of what they are, but licensing and sales agent. I will just say that you bring up a great point, Kim. We still have to go through all these rules, and there are redundant rules with TDLR since this they took over the state lottery, and there is a lot of cleanup. Probably 1,000 instances where we have to replace commission with department. So we'll definitely look at maybe reconciling or making it maybe just one reference to licensee or sales agent or retailer. So
that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that the committee members understood that those are interchangeable. At least in my view, they're one and the same. The next question I have, and I want to make sure that the members know this. These are all rules that are for the retailer, the license holder, the one who's the license holder in terms of conduct and violations. But it is correct, Kyle, that if a sales agent's employee violates one of these rules by knowingly selling to a minor or whatever, that's really that all goes back to the license holder for failing to monitor their own location. Is that how you all look at it? Correct?
Correct. So the licensee is liable for the conduct of their employees. And in our agreed orders, sometimes someone will say, well, "I didn't do that. It was my employee." We have out there public, if you're ever curious, we've got a nice little brief in those that just establishing why a sales agent is liable for their employees' conduct. But you're correct. Yes. So.
Okay, I just want to make sure folks know that, because they do have matters that happen where they say, well, that was my employee and I told him he couldn't do that, or X, Y, and Z. But at some point, it's the license holder's responsibility, for that location. So thank you for that clarity. Any questions? Any comments? So I'm going to entertain a motion to recommend that the proposed draft rules and the proposed new rule be published in the Texas Register for at least a minimum of 30-day public comment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye. I understand, Ms. Lopez Sparks, with this, you'd like to have a specific roll call on
Yes,
the vote.
yes. And I'd like to confirm, was that Mr. Warren who made the motion and it was seconded by Mr. Pate? Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna do a quick roll call. Deanna Melanson Newcomb,
Yes.
David Pate,
Yes.
Irv Leos,
Yes.
Bobby Warren,
Yes.
and Temporary Presiding Officer Kim Kiplin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Kyle, for the very detailed and comprehensive report on that rulemaking. I'm going to go ahead and move to item J, recommendation for each agenda items for the next committee meeting. Are there any recommendations for agenda items? Ms. Lopez Sparks will write them down, and then if you think of anything outside the meeting, please feel free to contact her to add to the agenda.
I will say that we will have any public comments that are received during the public comment period while the rules are out there. And then I did have from Ms. Newcomb, how our conflict of interest situation is going to be handled. This might be an agenda item, or it might be something that may be answered before then. And then Mr. Pate, you had mentioned something. Do you mind repeating what that was? It was shortly after Kelly Stuckey's presentation.
I don't mind. It was just how does what the Texas Lottery returns to the state, how does that compare to other lottery systems in other states?
Okay.
Any further discussion on this agenda item?
Yes, one other thing. In addition to the conflict of interest topic, some clarification on third-party vendor terms and the RFP process or the bidding process for those third-party companies, just to have full transparency there, I think would be helpful.
Thank you. Anything further under this agenda item? If not, we'll move to agenda item K. It's the discussion of date, time, and location of the next committee meeting. My understanding is that Ms. Lopez Sparks will poll each of the committee members to make sure that we've got a quorum for the next committee meeting. That sounds like it may be scheduled in September. I may be wrong on that, but I'll defer to her.
Yes, correct. Right now, we're looking at potentially September 21st or 22nd. So I'll be sending an email after this meeting. So if you don't mind checking your calendars and letting me know of your availability, then once I hear back, I'll get that scheduled. But those are the 2 dates that we're looking at right now.
Thank you. Staff, thank you for the support of this Lottery Advisory Committee, and thank you for all the information that you've provided. It was very, very helpful. And for each committee member, I will just look forward to working with each of you all and any new members that come on. Is there any reason not to adjourn? If not, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting at this time. It is 12:09 a.m. Thank you. We can leave the meeting?
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone.
You all have a great
Thank you. Thanks, y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Good
Great
time.
job.
All right.